Done a lot of silly things with you, Zac, but this one, something doesn't quite feel right.
That was the first ever video that me and Zac filmed after announcing the channel. And in the first month, it got 400,000 views, and it's now on like 1.4 million views.
That's Jamie Rawsthorne, former half of the Zac and Jay show and current YouTube advisor to clients like Codie, Sanchez, and Morning Brew. Back in 2018, Zac and Jay posted "We Entered the World's Strangest Sport," a video where they take part in the age-old Welsh tradition of bog snorkeling. That video was the catalyst for the channel's explosion, becoming one of the fastest growing channels on YouTube at the time. But how did this happen? What if I told you Jamie stole that first idea, but in a way that you'd never even know?
It's an interesting one, abstract extrapolation, where you're working out why this video has performed really well and trying to come up with more video ideas around why it's performed really well. Yes Theory's highest performing video was visiting an abandoned town in the US with no laws, and it had 25 million views. And I didn't even watch the video, but I was thinking to myself, like, what could we do around this space? Like, from there, we then just like changed that format. So we tried bog snorkeling in the middle of Wales. Then we tried the world's most dangerous football sport in Birmingham, and that got like 3 million views. Then we tried the world's most dangerous sport, which was cheese rolling, and that got 1 million views. None of those videos, someone would have ever looked at them and said, oh, you've copied Yes Theory with this.
So in this episode, you'll learn what's working on YouTube today, where YouTube is headed, how YouTubers can monetize their channel, and how you can steal ideas for your own channel. By the way, my video editor, Connor Conaboy, joins us for this episode too. It's a lot of fun. So now let's talk to Jamie about how the YouTube landscape has changed since he started in 2018.
Me knowing everything that I know about YouTube, looking at it purely from a platform point of view, I think YouTube have been extremely ambitious with the scope of what they are as a platform. Previously, it was just a video platform. You know, like you wouldn't see that many short clips. You wouldn't see that many long clips. But they've made an emphasis that they really want to push for long form content. TV screens are their fastest growing screen. So that would also imply that more long form content is going to be pushed on the platform. They're also taking attacks at Twitch with live stream stuff and gamer play. There was over 2 trillion views and gaming views. They're also going for sport. So they just got a 2 billion bid for their Sunday NFL ticket. So YouTube as a platform, I think, has been extremely ambitious with the different areas that it's now attacking. To be a YouTuber can mean so many different things, when back then I think being a YouTuber was simply making videos. So that's what I'd say from like a platform point of view. From a creator point of view, I think the algorithm is rewarding higher quality stuff more and rewarding having an audience less. Previously, you used to be quite comfortable. If you had 1 million subscribers, your videos would get distributed to those guys. But nowadays, based on kind of TikTok and TikTok's rapid rise, I think they're rewarding content that just gets watch time and just gets clicks and keeps people on the platform much more than they are actually having an audience. So I think that's good for new creators in some ways, where they don't have to spend years like slowly brick by brick building up an audience. It could be seen as a bad thing for creators with large audiences, because they've just got to keep raising the bar all the time. They can never get complacent. But I also do think there's something negative in there as well, of just like new creators entering the space. They think they can go viral straight away, when the traditional model, you would have to earn your stripes and build up that audience really slowly. And once you had them, it was worth loads for you. When nowadays, I think people won't build those bricks as patiently and actually learn how to create great YouTube videos. I think there's something interesting that can be touched on with that point as well, of like, this encourages really smart entrepreneurs to enter the space. People who have seen how lucrative it can be to have a YouTube channel, they don't mind spending 25 grand a month to grow their YouTube channel. When a creator from day one who doesn't have the experience and know how to run a business, how to create really good videos and really good content, I think that can make it quite difficult to them, because they're not competing with really well-resourced people. So yeah, a few things in there.
Do you think, with how the algorithm is favoring like videos over having subs right now, to me, it seems like there's a double-edged sword where that's really good for new creators, but it also puts a lot of emphasis on like there might not be as much of an incentive to innovate once you find something that works. How does that play into ideas and brainstorming videos when you could just do the same thing because that's what feeds the algorithm? Am I really incentivized to change up my content?
Yeah, I think it does explode innovation with low lift formats. And I think that's why you're seeing lots of videos of like on the street stuff go viral, because anyone can pick up a mic with $150 and go out and film and have something go viral and do it again and do it again and do it again. So that's why there's innovation with the low lift stuff. But yeah, I really do think it does stifle the higher lift stuff, because you've found what works with your channel, and there's so much variance with like success and not success. Like if the video isn't received well by your audience or by the wider world, it won't have like a threshold of 250k views, 150k views. Like it can really flop. So I think creators who do find certain formats stick with them. And it's also, I don't know. I think that's kind of a bit of a problem with YouTube in general. A lot of people just look at what works and imitate and copy that without really adding their own flavor to it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'll see some of these YouTubers that we'll take like Noah Kagan's channel, and he does a lot of these, I asked this millionaire how they did this, and here's like another subgenre of millionaire, and here's a subgenre of millionaire. My mind as an entrepreneur kind of goes through, what is the actual business model of this? Because, typically you would attract an audience member, then you would nurture that relationship, build trust. But as Connor's saying, if I'm kind of feeding them the same video in a different package 5 times over, it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm building a deeper relationship with each individual. It seems purely, let's bring in new people to be aware of me, but then where's it go from there?
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And I think, it's kind of boring, man. In my mind, it's, and especially seeing so many people kind of explode underneath that model of asking, what have I seen recently? Asking college students about X, asking this person about Y, and they're all like just changing tiny bits of the video format. And it's obviously performing quite well. But yeah, I think the creators do have a bit of a risk of ingraining themselves too much in a format. So as soon as Noah wants to do something else slightly outside of that, it could absolutely burn, even though it's doing quite well now. That was always something that me and Zac were quite conscious of when we set up our channel. Sneaking into events performed really, really well for us, but we just didn't want to be known as like the sneaking guys. We saw a few creators who'd like absolutely exploded past the 100k subscriber mark, who were doing like rooftoping. So they'd like climb a crane, they'd find their way onto a rooftop of like these big London buildings, and they absolutely exploded with this kind of really unique style of content. But they just didn't diversify their content style quick enough. And as soon as they tried, like if you're rooftopping 3 years in a row, you kind of get a little bit bored of that. And same with sneaking into events. And if your audience aren't there for you on what you can provide and your special flavor, then if you do a different action, they don't want to see the action, the different action. They want to be there for what they know you for. So yeah, there's that risk as well.
You had mentioned people are taking ideas without really putting on their own flair. How do you go about taking that idea and putting your own flair on it? Like, how do you steal like a YouTuber ethically to, capitalize on videos that have already worked, but isn't just ripping it off?
Yeah, I actually wrote a little piece on this today. I think there's like 3 ways that I think about it. There's like direct extrapolation, and that's when you change like one simple aspect of a video title and do it yourself. And that's quite risky of just copying someone else. I think it's fine to direct extrapolate from your own videos, and it can perform really well. But yeah, you want to be careful doing it to someone else. There's indirect extrapolation when you change like a combination of a few different things. And there's abstract extrapolation where you're working out why this video has performed really well and trying to come up with more video ideas around why it's performed really well. And that's something which I did for the Zac and Jay show. So like, Yes Theory's highest performing video was visiting an abandoned town in the US with no laws, and it had 25 million views. And I didn't even watch the video, but I was thinking to myself, like, what could we do around this space? Like, people, it's really curiosity evoking. It's kind of surprising that this thing still exists. It's going to have like characters in there. And so I kind of started looking at like strange traditions based in the UK. And our first ever video was bog snorkeling. So I found like this really strange thing, this bog in the middle of Wales, people flying from all over the world. So it was going to be a lot of strange characters there. I was very surprised it was still existed for myself, so let alone what the viewers think. And it would have been a great like video to document. And so that was the first ever video that me and Zac filmed after announcing the channel. And in the first month, it got 400,000 views, and it's now on like 1.4 million views.
That's crazy.
And then like the direct extrapolation from there, we then just like changed that format. So we tried bog snorkeling in the middle of Wales. Then we tried the world's most dangerous football sport in Birmingham, and that got like 3 million views. Then we tried the world's most dangerous sport, which was cheese rolling, and that got 1 million views. So I think that you can, but none of those videos, someone would have ever looked at them and said, oh, you've copied Yes Theory of this. But we kind of like extrapolated what worked from these high performing content areas and applied it on ourselves, and then created formats around there that work well for us.
Yeah, I see on the playlist channel, you guys have 11 variations of the sport videos. So when you're doing that, they all vary in views. How are you evaluating these videos after? Because not every idea you come up with is going to blow up. Sometimes you repeat the same idea and that doesn't blow up. How are you looking at videos after you post?
Back then, we weren't really looking at videos whatsoever, other than the views, to be honest. Like, I don't even remember looking at our retention curve, to be honest. But yeah, man, mainly the views. Mainly the views one, but also how much we enjoyed it too, to be honest. Interestingly, looking back at the videos that didn't perform well, like me with my like, analytic strategic hat on now, because that's pretty much all I do, just like analyze YouTube videos, see why they work and try and replicate it. You can see what we did wrong, and essentially we were just kind of inexperienced. Like Zac had run a channel for about 1.5 years before me, but I'd only really uploaded 30 videos or something. I don't even think that, like 20 videos. In our first year, we only realized how important a thumbnail was like 4 months in, 5 months in of posting weekly, and that was with Nico Milano. Like we used to upload the video, and while it was uploading, Zac had like changed the thumbnail. So looking back, yeah, there's so many like common errors that we made uploading videos that I can only identify looking back. So like really long intros were one of them. Not building up tension was another one. Really long outros was another one. So it's fairly easy to see now looking back, but at the time we didn't really do that much like real-time analysis.
Do you think that the bar has been raised in the eye of the viewer for how good a title and thumbnail must be? Because I hear these stories and I see videos that are like older that did really well where the thumbnail is just shit. And we're over here busting our butt trying to make a great thumbnail, and sometimes it doesn't go anywhere. So I'm wondering if the bar has been raised, or if the idea is just so much more important than the thumbnail itself that the idea is really what moves the needle past and present.
It's an interesting one, thumbnails, because I think you can overthink them big time. Like when you've got like a massive screen in front of you, you're doing all these tiny details. Like that chicken getting thrown into the airplane, it's a distressed chicken, it's an airplane, and it's a red circle around it with a guy in a high-vis jacket. Like, I doubt that they spent ages working on that. And I think that sometimes like the only thing that you're trying to do with a thumbnail is make it pop and make it stand out and make someone stop scrolling or make them click to that out of the 12 other options on the home screen. So like has the standard been raised? People are definitely putting more emphasis on it. But I do think, it's going back to the basics of just like, does this thing pop? And almost taking away the complexity. Like something that I used to do and still do occasionally is like the squint test. So like I close my eyes and look at a thumbnail like that, and does it stand out? There's a tool called Thumbs Up TV, which you can compare the thumbnail based on like phone and desktop, and you can see the time zone. So that's a good little tool for seeing whether it pops. But yeah, going back to that point on virality as well, I think like sometimes you never really know what's going to work. So even that Fashion Week video, which like changed the channel's, our lives and the channel where it was at completely, we weren't actually ever going to upload that video after the first setting. We didn't think it was good enough. Damn. And then we went back to it. Then we filmed like a second day and we're like, oh, it's probably good enough to upload. And then it absolutely exploded the channel. And I think that's something with like good thumbnails as well. It's like easy to look at the ones that work and say, that's why it works. But there's also a bit of like magic sauce in there, which you never really know is going to absolutely explode.
Yeah. And I noticed on Zac's latest video on the Fashion Week, thumbnail changed a couple times and it took just a little bit to go. And then they found it, and 4.3 million views right now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, there's so I work with Codie Sanchez as an advisor, and it's not something which I was ever like really on top of is like the thumbnails, but we've got a thumbnail guy at the moment who's like really shit hot with like the analytics and like the 0.3% increase after an hour upload. But yeah, there's definitely, I think, there's a bit of a magic sauce in there somewhere of not changing too much, not getting overly bogged down by data and by small nuances in something that is quite simple. Does this pop and grab attention? And also, seeing what works and learning from it every time.
Do you think people are too optimized right now? Because it blew. I'm very surprised you said like you guys didn't really do any evaluation beyond views. And that's like so different than how people approach, at least big YouTubers approach videos now.
I think overall, yeah. I think overall people are too optimized. In my mind, views are the most important thing. Views include click-through rate. Views include watch time. Views also kind of include what YouTube want to push. So even if you don't like directly take from it, you can see the general stuff that's kind of working on the platform. So that I was actually like really on top of it with views, like I mentioned with the Yes Theory example, but just not itty bitty data bits. I'm still not, to be honest.
Seems to work.
Yeah.
After a quick break, Jamie and I talk about whether podcasting on YouTube actually works. So stick around and we'll be right back. If you've been following me for a while, you know how much I believe in memberships as a product for creators like you and me. Earning an income directly from your audience is one of the most sustainable ways to become a professional creator. So I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Uscreen. Uscreen is a beautiful all-in-one platform that lets content creators earn a living from their videos online. You can host private live streams for your members, sell courses, even get your own branded TV and mobile apps. Seriously, people can watch your video content on an app on their TV just like Netflix. And the best part, that means unlocking predictable recurring revenue. With a Uscreen account, you get video hosting, an out-of-the-box website, full payment and subscription management, a lot of other built-in tools, and plenty of third-party integrations too. And Uscreen makes it easy to get set up. You get access to powerful website themes designed to monetize videos. It's a quick setup and fully brandable with no coding skills required. Just about anyone that wants to make money from their content can do it with Uscreen. It's perfect for coaches, authors, influencers, and entrepreneurs in just about any niche. Right now, Uscreen is being used by creators in fitness, education, news, music teachers, kids entertainment, and more. That includes Yoga with Adrian and Creator Now, just to name a couple. Uscreen is the platform for building a video membership site that is great for generating a sustainable income stream. If you create video content for your audience, I highly recommend checking it out. If you're interested in learning more about Uscreen, check out the link in the description. Your background's in entertainment style videos, you know, and now you're consulting with Codie Sanchez, who is probably more so known in like the business realm. How do you mash these two things together? Do you find yourself trying to pull in a lot more of the entertainment side into these videos that often could be more talking head style?
I kind of went into YouTube from an entrepreneurial angle. I saw YouTube as setting up a business. I saw it as creating a big audience that I could then create products for. So I've always absolutely loved entrepreneurship. I ran a business before the YouTube channel as well. So it's content that I do love consuming. Like I love people in her niche. I love consuming that content. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I think a lot of the thinking and strategy behind what me and Zac did for our own channel, it can be applied elsewhere. So like the longevity questions we were asked, how do you like increase that fan affinity for you? How do you create sustainably, but also try and have like rocket ship growth? Like how we found ideas for the Zac and Jay show can very easily be applied to like how I find ideas for Codie and how we find ideas. And same with longevity questions and how we monetize it and how we do it all. Codie seems to not be able to burn out, but how we do it without like burning out the creator. It's fairly similar. It's fairly applicable.
Do you think it's stupid to try to grow a channel from nothing based on podcast interviews?
It depends, because I think if that's anything but a podcast channel, then it may be difficult having that audience move on to the other bits of content that you do. But if it is just purely a channel that you're trying to grow to promote the podcast, then I think it's a great shout.
Well, I mean, the channel itself, I mean, we talk about this sometimes because the channel started as, hey, the show is interesting, we should do a video version of it. And then as time has gone by, we've realized, you know, these are not the best uploads for YouTube to push out to random people and have people click through and watch the whole thing. We should do some solo videos too. So now we're kind of doing both.
One thing I would say on like YouTube podcasts and can you use them for clips, I think you need to have like a really clear payoff for viewers or a really clear kind of narrative that moves on from one point to another. Colin and Samir do this quite well. So they'll interview someone and each point will address like a different aspect of a story, which would like add a lot of value to the viewer. But it's not just kind of like this waffly thing like a podcast can be that goes here, there and everywhere that people kind of listen to a bit more passively. Another interview that I saw do quite well on that was like that John guy who used to work at YouTube. He did a video with Paddy Galloway and it was like 19 minutes long. And you can see how different the conversation is to a normal podcast. Like it's edited so that Paddy's talking in like bullet points as opposed to a conversation flow. So yeah, I think you just need to be really clear, like what does the viewer get out of it? And I think you can do it, but it does need to be, it can't be a lazy thing. You need to be very conscious of what the viewer's getting from it.
Let's say I'm someone listening to this and I want to get started on YouTube here in 2023. What do you think is a good starting point for me to start thinking about how to construct my channel and start to get viewers?
Looking at the highest performing content in your niche from fellow creators, looking at 5 to 10 creators, looking at the 3 to 5 highest performing videos, seeing if you can categorize them into high performing content areas, brainstorming from those high performing content areas and working out what content you would like to film. So that I think is the best starting point. There's also longevity questions of like, how are you going to monetize this? It's something really interesting happened the other day where Yes Theory announced they were doing a course. It was, they've got 8 million subscribers. They announced a storytelling course, something that they're the best people in the world at, I feel. It was for $350 and people absolutely hated it.
They were pissed.
People literally were saying this is the downfall of Yes Theory. And then on the other hand, you've got Ali Abdaal with 4 million subscribers, so half the subscriber amount, selling a YouTube course for $2,000 to $5,000. And his audience absolutely love how much money he makes from this course because he shares it. So I think there's something about the relationship with the audience and having them expect that you are not going to make money off them, but you're going to have this relationship where you're going to offer products and services that enhance someone's life and you're going to charge for it so you can keep doing what they love doing. So I'd actually like think about that, maybe not from day one because you don't want to plan too much in that space with zero audience, but think about that really quickly and almost race to that point where you can get some revenue off your audience.
I love that because thinking about the relationship you're going to have with the audience when it comes to monetization, it's really interesting in Yes Theory's case because they've been so like entertainment focused, and a lot of people in their audience, the only time they really hear of courses is when it comes to like drop shipping scammers, because that's when like commentary YouTubers start making videos about it. So when they're presented with this course, they're like, what is this? Well, like, is this one of those scams? Versus Ali Abdaal's, who it's like more people along the line of our audience where they're expecting that and they see the value in the vast majority of these types of programs and don't really touch upon like the scam side of things.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think there was things that Yes Theory got wrong that were maybe not basic, but very easy to point out in retrospect. Another interesting point that I heard, because I spoke with Angus Parker, who's like Ali Abdaal's general manager. He's been, I think he was his first employee and pretty much like is his right-hand man. And he said something interesting in that the extension of the product that Ali Abdaal offers is premium information because Ali Abdaal offers information. Yet if Yes Theory offer entertainment, the extension of that offer is a premium entertainment product. And instead it's an education product that's not really that entertaining. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But again, I think that's why you want to embed this expectation that you are going to offer something with your audience early rather than later.
It also really comes down to like, what are people coming here for? You know, that's why I think that there is a spectrum between entertainment and education in the creator world, because some people like entertainment time and education time is often different in people's minds. It's like, I'm sitting down, I want to level up something, I want to learn a skill versus like, I'm sitting down just to pass the time and not think about things, not worry about like reaching the perfect version of myself. And yeah, I would argue that Yes Theory is very much on the entertainment side. So to go to an audience that has come here for this and offer something that is inherently going to be only interesting to a small number of those people, it's challenging. Like an email, in my world, I would try to segment my audience because I use mostly email and I would know that. But like in YouTube, you can't really segment your subscribers and send that video to just the people who would be interested in it.
Yeah, I mean, I did quite a lot of digging into it because it was really fascinating to me, like what happened there. The idea that you can have double the audience size, literally 8 million subscribers, and charge 17% the price of $2,000, and your audience hate it. That I thought it was really, really interesting how you get that right. And yeah, what me and Angus spoke about was having email as the main push, not primary videos. Ali Abdaal's never done a sole video on his channel to sell any products. He does little segments within them, potentially pushing people towards the product, but that's like the hardest push he does. Every other push is towards his email, and then that does the talking. So I think it's kind of interesting. It's like the pretty face online just like warms you up, but then it's like the email who actually like, you know, does the jab, hook, punch, ask. So yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That's been pretty consistent across this show about video creators that come on and talk about all video being the top funnel and emails really where all their selling comes from.
Oh yeah.
Really? What other creators have you spoke to who do that?
I mean, most of the creators I have on the show are not on the entertainment side. So it's like all of them. Most of them, if they're doing YouTube, they either say, I wish I would have done email sooner, or they say this goes to email. And then there are a lot of people like Marie Poulin, Thomas Frank, I should say. They didn't even like have an email strategy necessarily. They just did so well on YouTube and had an email list that kind of built itself. And they're like, oh, now I have this really great asset to leverage. The one example of someone that I talked to way back who did like make a primary video and sold something, and that kind of changed his channel and changed his life, was Ron Segal. He has a channel called Flux Academy. He teaches people UX and UI design. And he was doing like free design tutorials and things like that for literal years, and then said, I have a course now. And people loved it, and it changed his life like overnight.
Right.
But again, that was an education, that was an information-based business.
It's so interesting, man, because like the entertainment creators that I know, the last thing that they want to do is like build an email newsletter with an email strategy of consistently posting out. It's just so far opposite of like messing around the internet and videoing it and having lots of fun and getting loads of views. And yeah, the products that they sell was like merch. Merch probably is best to do maybe not a dedicated video, but like integrate that in your video content as opposed to like sign up to my email and then we'll tell you about a merch. Like that's not, I think for merch, it would be better visually. But yeah, I think that's interesting.
I've just seen you on Twitter jamming about this stuff around monetization recently, and it's so fascinating to me because video creators broadly, but especially entertainment creators, there's this huge bifurcation between that culture and the education culture that I swim in most of the time, because the video creators are like merch, brand deals, and that's kind of where they're living for monetization. On the other side, it's like information products, affiliate revenue, courses, things like that. And they don't often touch sponsorship or physical products. And the best business model, in my opinion, is like figuring out how you can integrate all of this stuff in a way that makes sense for your business. Sarah Renee Clark, YouTuber, she built a physical product called the Color Cube, which was like one of the most unique products I've seen of any creator in the last several years.
And it's so on brand. Like it's perfect.
So on brand, so perfect. And that's when it's perfect. It integrates perfectly into what she's doing, and it makes a lot of sense. But I identify as an entrepreneur more than anything else, and so video has been a hard thing for me because I have to learn how to like have camera presence and be entertaining. I am much more in the like, let's build the machine of the business, and I understand how YouTube plays a part in that. I'm not coming from the place of let's fool around on the internet and then someday try to build a business out of it.
I think there's going to be so much innovation in this space as people work out what is the best business model, as businesses work out how to help people and complement things that they're lacking. So the business side of these creators. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch.
I don't know if you'd say you'd burned out, but you got kind of tired and retired, at least temporarily, from your own channel. So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you do this process and protect yourself from burning out, even if you are building a successful channel?
How do you protect yourself from burnout? Man, I actually have no idea, to be honest. I think I think every creator should just like expect to burn out. And Jay, to be honest, I'd ask you that question because all this solopreneurship stuff on Twitter, I'm like, how do they do it all? Like the email newsletter, the podcasts, the tweets, the YouTube videos. Like we did YouTube videos. You do it all. So
it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Connor knows I'm like actively burning out right now.
Nice.
I just published in my membership community. I do a once a month retro, and I'm like, hey guys, to be honest, like first 10 minutes of this video, I just want to talk about how I've pretty much burned out over the last 3 weeks. And we've decided that we're actually slowing down video a tad so that we can focus on quality as opposed to just like trying to hit a weekly deadline on the channel.
Yep.
Because it was exhausting. I mean, we've more and more tried to go earlier on in the process towards ideation and thinking about packaging before we even like script and shoot and stuff, which just makes the whole front end of producing a video so much longer. And so to stagger that and try to hit a weekly deadline is so hard.
Yeah, there was something that I was talking with someone to recently this weekend, and he mentioned that YouTube is a very interesting beast in that most YouTubers, the scope of their product increases every single time they upload. So like it can never really be satisfied because you give Mr. Beast unlimited resources and he's going to make the biggest video in the world. And it was very much the same with the Zac and Jay show. Like if you look at the amount of effort and resources that go into each video, sometimes it's like 5 to 10 grand per video now, when previously we do 4 videos for 5 grand over the space of a month. Now Zac's got way more resources, he's got way more of an audience, and still, like, I think if you were to ask him, are you like, what do you need? It's more money for bigger videos, for more views. And like something like podcasting, a lot of creators kind of seem to that really do last a long time seem to go from videos that have unlimited scope to podcasts, which kind of don't. They're just conversations with interesting people. So like the quality of the podcast can increase dramatically based on the people that are on the podcast, but the effort required for each of those podcasts stays exactly the same. When for YouTube, it's not the case. Like usually the better videos require more effort. So I think that's something interesting to know on YouTube. And I think creators just should be very conscious of that and saying, like, just being real with them. Like, if it is unlimited scope on each video that we publish, we are going to burn out. And sometimes just say, fuck it, like, that's what it takes and go for it. And other times lean off and actively say, you know what, we're not going to maximize growth right now.